Hi plant friends, this video is all about my Hoyas, including the Hoyas that I imported from Hoya 7 months ago. First up are the imports. Let's start off with Hoya CV Jennifer. This plant has grown a few leaves and the tendril has lengthened, but plant friends, I've had a very busy and demanding winter schedule, and some of my Hoyas are definitely showing the effects of a busy schedule. There was a little bit of a dieback on the tendril due to dehydration, so I'm hoping with my new schedule I'll be able to keep up with these beauties. Now next plant is the Hoya Pachaclada variety New Moon. This one's also a bit dehydrated, but she did push out a new tendril. These two leaves are new. There was a tendril in the middle, but that's since died back from neglect. However, it's making a comeback. I can see a new tendril emerging. And the mealybugs have taken hold. They've damaged some of the leaves on the plants. I need to come up with a pest control schedule to keep them under control. Next is the Glabratii, and this one's holding on to dear life. It's quite dehydrated. Despite the neglect, these plants are doing much better than I expected. The plant was thriving before winter. It actually produced this new leaf, which is so nice and big, really shows the growing potential for this plant. I'll need to take these plants to the bath and give them a good spray down with insecticidal soap and a good wipe down. Next we've got the Hoya Imperialis. So look at all this new growth. But the mealybugs also likes this plant. Now Hoya Imperialis can be very challenging because it likes a lot of humidity, but for all the imports I've been keeping them on a shelf with a plastic cover that keeps the humidity high. This branch is actually all new growth. A lot of dieback on the old tendril, and on the back of the leaf there looks like there's some mealybugs. Plant friends, mealybugs are very challenging, especially since here in Canada we don't have systemic insecticidal soap, so this is going to be a real chore to get them under control. Next is the Macrophylla Snow Queen Splash. The new leaves are beautiful, but there is a little bit of dieback on some of the tendrils. Since this plant arrived, it has actually branched out, which is quite nice. So this is also a new leaf that it's produced. I also see thrips damage, so I've got my work cut out for me. Next we've got the Hoya Macrophylla Big Leaf. Plant friends, I absolutely love the Hoya with the big leaves. There's also new growth on this plant. With the right care, these leaves could have been bigger. This is all new growth, which is just wonderful for an import. Also, there's a little bit of a dieback on the tendrils, so I'm hoping this one's gonna branch out. There's also a mealybug on this one. Next is Hoya Fungii. This tendril is all new. It started off with 2 big leaves, then downhill from there. Look at this new leaf. It started off so beautifully. This leaf also has a bit of thrips damage. This tendril completely died back, but spring is on the way and I've got a new schedule, so these plants will be getting some much needed TLC. Plant friends, this is where I've been keeping my imports. It's a cute little greenhouse system shelf thingy from IKEA. The plastic is just right to filter the sun. They're in a sunny spot, so they get about 5 hours of direct sun each day. Normally I'd water these plants once a week, and for feed I'd give them slow release fertilizer. The slow release fertilizer, I just give them a pinch every 3 months. I'm so glad I'm back to my regular schedule. Now I can really start taking care of these babies. Look at this Hoya pachaclata. It's such a beauty. It's also an import from Hoya. What a beauty. I keep it on my desk, so when I'm working from home, I always admire this plant. Although this plant was on my desk, it also suffered a little bit of neglect. The leaves could be a bit more perfect. Another pest that I've been hearing a lot about is flat mites. I don't know if I have it, but as a precaution, I'm going to treat all the plants for flat mites. From what I understand, it's an easy solution, but I'm going to have to research a bit more about that. I almost forgot about these 2 imports as well. I've got the Hoyas sprinkled out in different rooms around the house. This one is the Hoya Myocopa Purple. This one has not put out any new growth. I also have it in a sunny spot and it hasn't gone purple yet. Maybe it needs stronger summer sun. So in the summer I'm going to put this on the balcony and see what it does. When I placed the order with Hoya, they also included a gift. I received the Hoya Pubicalic Splash as the gift. No troubles with the Pubicalics. They're actually so easy to grow and they're so low maintenance. It also suffered no setback with my busy schedule. When I received the shipment, I didn't do anything special for the roots. I didn't cut any roots or try to grow any roots back. All I did when I received the plants was soak them for 20 minutes and pot them up in chunky, well-draining soil. Now let's get an update on the Hoyas I acquired locally. First up is the Hoya Obscura. This one was given to me as a gift and it was about a 3-node cutting. I'm surprised at how much this one has grown and branched out. All this growth over the last 6 months. Now this one sun stressed quite nicely, so I'm hoping to give this a lot of sun in the summer. Next we've got Hoya rotundiflora. I'd picked this up at Vandermeer on one of my shopping trips. At that time I paid about $25 for this plant. It's grown quite a bit, lots of beautiful tendrils, but some of the tendrils have died back from neglect. The shape of the leaf is so unusual, but they're also thick, they sort of feel like cardboard. Next we've got Hoya maniparensis. This one was also given to me as a gift. It's grown quite nicely. I really need to pot this up. Now this one I keep it in my living room where it's getting afternoon sun, about 4 hours of afternoon sun, so it's not as intense as a south facing sun. There's a lot of beautiful growth on this one and could benefit from a trellis. This one's Hoya chinguanensis, and it's also done very well. I got this as a tiny little cutting, and it's lengthened quite a bit. All this is new growth since I've received the plant, and aren't the leaves little darlings? Next is the Hoya multiflora. The leaves are a bit beaten up and I can see a mealybug. Sorry plant friends if this is a bit gross. It's not nice to squish them, but it's the most effective way. When you see them, you've got to get them right away because sometimes they move very quickly. Going forward, I've got to inspect the plants regularly. This is going to be a once a week thing for me with the treating for pests. I'll need to spray the plants down every week in order to keep this under control. It's going to be months, plant friends. Hoya multiflora is a very easy Hoya to bloom, but I find if you don't keep up with the water and keep this one moist, it will drop the peduncles. Next we've got Hoya ruthie. Look at all this growth, it's quite impressive. Now Vandermeer used to have 3 in a pot, and at that time I purchased it with 3 in a pot. I've had to split it up and give away 2 plants, and it was $24 back then. I also find that this plant likes it bright. It gets about 4 hours of direct sun in the morning. Next is the Hoya pachaclata with the inner variegation. Plant friends, what a beauty. I keep this plant in my living room where it gets a lot of bright light. It gets some morning sun as well as some afternoon sun. For watering, don't let this one dry out too much. If it dries out, it starts to drop the new leaves. Next we've got Hoya elagerum. This one is such a darling. It gets nice sun stressing. You can see a little bit on the leaves already. I keep it in the south facing window, right on the windowsill, where it's getting about 5 hours of direct intense sun each day. I water this plant once a week, but I keep an eye on it because it's in a clay pot and a south facing window. It dries out very quickly, so sometimes I might need to water twice a week. Next we've got Hoya kentiana, a Hoya that likes it bright but is also low maintenance. I initially received this as a 10 node cutting, which I split up all the nodes and plant them individually in the pot, and it's turned out to this bushy beauty. I find that this plant's also forgiving if you forget to water it, but I try to water once a week. Next we've got Hoya bravellata. Now this was given to me as a gift over a year ago and I still haven't repotted the plant. It's been in this plastic pot all this time and thriving, a tough Hoya. These guys are propagation. The Helwedgiana, I received that as a gift back in the summer. I need to pot that up. My Hoya acuta variegata took a turn for the worse, so I had to root the cuttings, as well as my Polynora that suffered as well. Hopefully these guys will pull through, especially the Polynora, because I enjoy that Hoya. Next we've got Hoya Fichi. I'd purchased this one from Vandermeer, and back in the day Vandermeer used to have 3 plants in the pot, so I gave away 2 and kept this one for myself. It's working on a cute little tendril. I'll need to repot this guy and trellis it up. What a beauty. Next is Hoya Australis Lisa. Wow, this plant is gorgeous. The leaves, look at that, just stunning. And it bloomed for me this summer, which was so wonderful. The flowers are fragrant. It smells a bit like jasmine. This plant bloomed for me in the fall, so it needs cool temperatures to bloom. I also have the Hoya Australis Lisa with the matte leaves. This one hasn't bloomed for me, but it's grown a lot. It's pushed out a lot of tendrils over the years. A bit of a dieback on some of the tendrils, and you can see this one is in the original pot. Plant friends, I have a lot of repotting to do. I also have the Hoya Australis with the green fuzzy leaves. This one's grown quite a bit as well. It does like it sunny. It's getting about 5 hours of direct sun each day. I water it once a week. I find that it likes to stay on the moist side. That's why I've kept them in the plastic pot. And this one hasn't bloomed yet. Now, Hoya curtisii can be challenging, but I find that it does not like to dry out for too long. If you let it dry out too long, it will start to drop leaves. This one really grows fast when it's happy. This used to be just a 2-leaf cutting, and it's grown into this nice tangled mess. All this growth, and I've never received any blooms. Hoya mandarensis yellow flower, this one actually bloomed, and it only bloomed one single flower. The flower was so beautiful. The leaves are quite thin on this Hoya, so I try not to let this one dry out for too long. This Hoya is also getting some bright sunshine in the morning. In this pot, I've got a few cuttings of the Hoya lacanosa. I've got the Hoya lacanosa silver as well as the super splash. It's potted up in coco coir, and it's also in a clay pot, so it dries out extremely quickly. You can see that the leaves are quite dehydrated. This pot needs a good soaking. But plant friends, this plant bloomed for me last fall. The flowers are so cute. Despite being neglected, Hoya viola thrived. She produced a lot of new leaves and new tendrils. Her leaves are beautiful, but they also have that cardboard texture. I've got a second pubicalyx splash. This one I received as a cutting. It was a tiny cutting, but it's grown so much. This is one thing that I like about the pubicalyx. They grow so nicely. They're fairly low maintenance, and they don't fuss if they dry out for too long. Hoya calistophylla, one of my favorites, and this plant is always blooming. I find that this plant does not like to dry out for too long. It also likes it sunny, so I give it about 5 hours of direct sun each day, but morning sun. This plant has given me a lot of peduncles. The peduncles are a bit messy because they do leak a lot of sap, and that sap is a magnet for mealybugs. Hoya Sunrise is also low maintenance, beautiful sun stressing, but it also doesn't mind drying out for a little bit. This plant suffered no setbacks due to my busy schedule. When I first started collecting Hoyas, I purchased this Hoya pubicalyx, purple Hawaiian. However, it doesn't look too pubicalyx or purple Hawaiian to me. It just looks like a regular carnosa, but it grows quite nicely. And I didn't pay much for it back then, only $15. No peduncles on this one yet. I've had it for quite a while, so I'm hoping I'll get peduncles soon. Hoya Memoria is one of my first Hoyas. I purchased this one as a 3-node cutting and it's grown so much. Very beautiful. It also bloomed for me, which was quite nice. But I have to say this one does not like to dry out for too long. I can see that some of the leaves are a little bit wilting right now. Next is Hoya Ingleriana. Now this beauty is so cute, but it's an absolutely mealy bug magnet. It's awful. I've had this plant for a while as well, and I need to pot this up. Definitely need to add this to my plant chores. This plant will benefit from some new media and a nice trellis. Now Hoya obovata variegata, one of my favorites. It's also low maintenance, such a little darling, and it's bloomed for me multiple times. This plant has nice thick leaves, so it can dry out a bit in between watering. I also keep it in a sunny window, 4 hours of direct sun each day. Her blooms are very pretty, and I find that this plant blooms in the summer. What a stunning plant. Now for feed, I give them slow release fertilizer every 3 months, but last year I also supplemented their feed with the Fox Farm Tiger Bloom. For the Fox Farm fertilizer, I added a tiny bit of fertilizer to the water every week. It was a very weak solution that I would water the plants with every week. Hoya macrophylla alba marginata is also one of my first Hoyas. Look at those beautiful albo leaves. This is something that is done in the last 2 years. Put out albo leaves, but they don't last long. They tend to fall off. Now I find this Hoya can tolerate a lot of sun. In the summer I keep it on the balcony and it gets a lot of sunlight, pretty much direct sun all day. The plants that I put out on the balcony in the summer, I water them every day. It's very hot, so the pots do dry out very quickly, and in order to keep up with all that sun, I've got to water every day. The variegated Hoya Bella is hanging in there. This one's been a challenging Hoya ever since I purchased it, but what I've learned is that it requires a lot of water. This one tends to pout and drop a lot of leaves if you let it dry out for too long. Although it's been a challenge, this plant bloomed for me last year. Plant friends, I thought I was done and then I found a Hoya Sarawak. I received this one as a gift from a planty friend. It's such a beautiful Hoya. You know, I love those Hoyas with the big leaves. While in my care, it's given this gorgeous leaf and the tendril. So beautiful. Also found this Hoya pachaclata with the outer variegation. I totally forgot about this one. Now this one's been quite a challenging Hoya. It hasn't grown much for me and I've had it for almost 3 years. Now I find that the Hoya with the inner variegation grows much faster than the Hoya with the outer variegation. Plant friends, while editing, I found 3 more Hoyas. Oh my goodness. I picked up this New Guinea Ghost last summer and I still need to repot it. It hasn't grown much for me. I'm hoping it's gonna push out a nice new tendril. I'd love to make some cuttings of this one. It's such a beautiful Hoya. I think this one survived the winter because of the plastic pot. It doesn't dry out as quickly when it's in a plastic pot. Now this pot of gold hasn't done much for me. I've had it for a while, almost 2 years, and not a lot of growth. I do see a little bit of something happening, so I'm hoping this is gonna lengthen over the spring. Now this one is still in the same pot and media from when I purchased it, so it might benefit from a repotting as well. Back then the Hoya was about $40, now I think you can get it for about $30. Next we've got the Hoya imbricata. Now this Hoya likes it bright and it likes it humid. This plant is potted in sphagnum moss. I also have a few tendrils wrapped in sphagnum moss for propagation. I try not to let this Hoya dry out for too long. I like to keep it moist. The plant is much better happy that way, and thank goodness I've had a cloche, so it's really benefited from that over the winter to keep the humidity high. Plant friends, this one can be a very challenging Hoya, but as long as you keep it bright, some direct sun, and humid, it should do fine for you. To control the mealybugs and the thrips, I'm using the Safer's 3-in-1 insecticidal soap as well as the End All insecticidal soap. I'll be spraying and wiping these leaves every week for the next couple of months. Thanks for watching, plant friends. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and follow me on Instagram at Life of Bellina.